Hey, practice owners, I'm going to throw this short video as kind of a 1B or 1.2 on top of our first video here in the 2026 series because it's something I missed in previous years. And so when I was making the slide deck this year, I sort of embedded it at the very end of the last slide, but I feel like it didn't get enough attention. So before we move on to part 2, 3, and 4, we're going to call this part 1B or 1.2. And I'm just going to take an extra couple minutes here to talk about branding, positioning, and pricing. We've done some other episodes on this, but I wanted it to be formally part of our 2026 series so we could add some clarity. My take on branding, positioning, and pricing historically has been that these discussions are a little bit overblown in a niche that's a local service-based business that's largely commoditized. Because I think the reality is we're all pulling at two levers for the most part. We're trying to figure out how to maintain being price competitive while optimizing for reputation. Because the three things that impact price are reputation, convenience, and price. Reputation, brand, I guess you might call it, as part of that, convenience and price. And so that's the way that I've always argued is we're all trying to play with the same variables and optimize on all of those fronts. But I wanted to take a few extra minutes to give branding a little bit more attention than we have in previous years. So here's my general advice and my thoughts at this point on branding for your med spa. And I've got a few key bullet points here to hopefully help you think about what you're doing in terms of who you're attracting and how you look toward the future and prioritize the messaging in your business to maximize growth. So the first thing here is visuals do matter, right? I've got a screenshot here that I made with Gemini. Nano Banana is the tool for those of you who don't know that Google Gemini uses to do image creation. So this is just like a fun, lighthearted example. But there is a reality that if your brand, most med spas, I would say, operate in the realm of we're trying to be like somewhat professional, clean, and have an aesthetic look, right? Blues and golds and blacks and beiges and those types of things with maybe some accent colors. But there are brands that lean into a pink, fun, and youthful type of energy. And that does signal demographics to some degree, right? If I've got a lighthearted, playful, fun vibe with the stuff that I'm posting on my website, my social media pages, and it's represented in the color scheme of my brand kit, then I'm probably going to attract people that resonates with, which is probably a younger demo, right? So there are differences in the visuals that are part of your brand kit that will attract certain audiences and certain demographics. So I don't want to completely ignore that. That is definitely true. So there's something to be said there. Also, think about this. You're trying to reach men long term, or you want to maybe start doing some more services for men. You're going to do testosterone therapy, weight loss, some other things that branch beyond a female audience. You probably want the flexibility of your brand not being overly feminine. So there are implications here to the visual design and how it attracts certain demographics. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing is that personality and connection do matter a ton. And I put these in the reputation bucket, but I don't think I give these enough credit. If people know, like, and trust you, they're more likely to choose you over the competitors, even when the third-party data is the same or maybe even suboptimal, right? So this is a way to overcome the commoditization of just having good Google reviews, because there are a lot of practices that just have good Google reviews. So if you're in the same range, that's not enough to stand apart. You're not going to stand apart on reputation when you have competitors that also have great reputations. So what can help you stand apart is your personality. It's the thing that's inherently unique to you, and it will naturally attract certain people. There are all sorts of products and service lines. You think about fitness influencers, right? There are a million places that you could get fitness information. So if somebody's got the best information, why is everybody not just watching one person? Why are there thousands of fitness influencers? And it's the reality that personality and connection matter. Certain people will resonate with certain personalities more or less. So the more that you can infuse personality and connection into your marketing messaging, I think the more effective you'll be, because you'll resonate with certain people, and that'll be the thing that sets you apart, is just you being you. So instead of stock photos, more videos and reels on your social media pages, on your website service pages. When people fill out an ad, how do we nurture those people with the information that gets them excited about specifically doing business with you? And I think that happens through personality and connection. So infusing that in all aspects of your marketing is important. Way too many websites that don't have videos on the service pages. I would argue that every one of your service pages, even if it's a cell phone video, should have a provider or someone at the practice talking through the service offering and kind of explaining what they're going to see on the page. I think your before and afters are much more compelling with a voiceover from the provider as to what they did, what the client was looking for, and what the treatment plan was, right? A lot more compelling. So infuse your marketing messaging on all fronts with personality and elements of connection. That ties into the next thing, which is having a face of the brand is helpful. This is still a business where people do business with people. I do think you want your brand to carry as much weight as possible. But if you can sort of have a figurehead that carries the brand and represents the brand, that is going to be helpful. It for sure is. So making sure that you're not afraid to put yourself out there or to have someone in your business that is going to be the face of the brand that's kind of cemented with you and is part of the business and is there to stay. And then also, I would argue, make your staff the supporting cast. So there's a financial guru, if you're not familiar, Dave Ramsey. He's got a show called The Ramsey Show. And for the longest time, The Ramsey Show was just Dave Ramsey. And as their business grew, it's a $300 million plus annual business now. That's a lot of risk to be on one person's shoulders, a lot of key man risk. So one of the things that they've done is on the radio show, they have multiple other team members on the Ramsey team that are now stars of the show. And there are episodes where Dave Ramsey isn't even on the show, but the Ramsey Show still goes on. And so I think doing that with your injectors and your providers is important because those are the people that are ultimately going to be serving your clients. So allow them to be the supporting cast and make them micro celebrities within your business. And if some of that is transient, those people leave, that's okay. You bring the next person on and you plug them in and you start building up their brand as well. So having a face of the brand and faces of the brand with a supporting cast that is your staff, really, really helpful. Because again, it gives you multiple layers of building, of infusing personality and connection that can help you stand out. Hey practice owners, Ricky here. And if you're tired of seeing your marketing as an expense, it's time to see it as the investment it should be. At Med Spa Magic Marketing, we specialize in driving predictable, massive growth for med spas. We helped one client generate over 2,500 new clients directly attributed from ads in less than 18 months. And these aren't outliers, this is our expectation. We're HIPAA certified by Compliancy Group, rated a perfect 5 stars on Google, and we provide true consulting and strategic direction to our clients, not just button pushing. If your med spa is able to consistently invest in marketing and advertising, and you want a transformative look at the exact frameworks, ads, offers, and strategies that we use for our clients, schedule your complimentary strategy session with me at medspamagicmarketing.com. That's medspamagicmarketing.com. Next thing is passion attracts tribe. So we've got clients that they're known for doing lip filler. It's the thing that kind of they're excited about. So they've got a ton of case studies. It's what clients start to know them for. It creates a sort of momentum and life cycle of its own. And so those people are going to naturally attract more people that are interested in lips. If your passion is in a certain area and you express that passion, you're going to get an outsized share of the leads that are searching for a provider for that specific service. So don't be afraid to lean into your passion. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it at the exclusion of the other services you offer. And the more diversified, the more passionate you can be about the services that you offer, you can start to build that sort of connection for multiple services. But passion does attract tribe. If you're known as a laser hair clinic, it's a little harder to switch to being known to being attractive to the Botox clients. If you're the person that does lip filler, it's a little harder to sell microneedling packages than somebody who's known for, microneedling. So passion attracts tribe was the second to last thing. And then our last thing here is I talked about these levers of reputation and price. And I will be very honest here. The most successful practices are pulling at both levers. I just talked to a practice in Arizona yesterday. I'm assuming, we didn't go into revenue numbers, they're pretty big. They've got almost 1,000 Google reviews. They've got a 4.9 star rating, and they have insanely aggressive pricing on Tox. And that is a recipe for massive success because the purchase decision is made on reputation, trust, convenience, and price. And it's really convenience and price because we're not going to change our location. So it's reputation and price, sorry. Being able to pull at the extremes on both levers there puts you in a position to make it a no-brainer for people to choose you. So that's kind of the thing one. Now, most of us, what we're trying, if you are able to lean into that, I would encourage you, don't shy away from it if you're comfortable with it because it works. But if you're like a lot of practices, which is you want to build a reputation that drives a premium pricing model, then you have to have the goods. So that means your reputation has to be stellar. Your branding has to be on point. Your providers have to be truly top tier. Like you have to have the best providers. You have to pay them the best so you can retain them and attract the right people. Your front office staff needs to be paid a little bit more, right? Everything in your practice needs to scream premium to justify premium price points. So don't try to be a premium price provider without the justification to do so. So if you want to do that, I would encourage you lean into really building the system, the structure, the business, and the brand that will drive and support premium pricing, because then you can charge more than other people for the same services if you really create that level of branding that sets you apart. So I think that's another place that it comes into play. The other thing is I don't think anybody listening to this goes, screw my reputation, I just want to be the cheapest in town. If that's you, go for it. You'll probably see some success. But I think there's it's a dead end there because it's just a perpetual race to the bottom if that's the only way you're going to win clients. So really reputation, it has to be a focal point. And it's not just Google reviews. It is what's represented on your website, in your social media pages, in the workflows, your interactions with clients, whether it's an incoming lead or somebody scheduling an appointment for the first time, people after they leave, how do you develop a rapport and a relationship that sets you apart? Those things definitely matter if you want to continue to try to drive your price points up while keeping demand up. So that was a little tidbit on branding, positioning, and pricing. I wanted to make sure that we covered that in a little bit more detail. So we'll call this 1B and move on to the next episode here in the next video.